Sarah's hands trembled as she stared at her phone screen. 3 missed calls, 7 text messages, each one more desperate than the last. "I'm sorry. Please, just talk to me. I can't live without you. You're the only one who understands me." 6 months ago, these words would have sent her running back. Today, they made her stomach turn. She was 28 years old, sitting in her sister's apartment at 2 a.m., and for the first time in 4 years, she was beginning to understand what had been happening to her. The term her therapist had used echoed in her mind: trauma bonding. "It's not love," Dr. Martinez had said during their session. "It's a survival response. Your nervous system has been hijacked." Sarah had wanted to argue. She had wanted to defend him, to explain that he wasn't always like that there were good times too, beautiful moments that made everything else worth it. But then Dr. Martinez had asked her a simple question that shattered everything. If your best friend told you her partner did to her what yours does to you, what would you tell her? The answer had been immediate and clear: run. So why couldn't she run from her own situation? This is the story of how Sarah broke free from a cycle that millions of people around the world are trapped in right now. A cycle that doesn't discriminate based on gender, education, or strength. A cycle that has nothing to do with weakness and everything to do with how our brains are wired to survive. Let me take you back to understand what Sarah was really risking. 4 years earlier, she had met Marcus at a coffee shop. He was charming, attentive, and seemed genuinely interested in everything about her. Unlike her previous partners, Marcus remembered small details: her favorite book, how she took her coffee, the story about her childhood dog. He texted her good morning and good night. He called just to hear her voice. "You're different," he had told her on their 3rd date, his eyes intense and unwavering. "I feel like I've been waiting my whole life to meet someone like you." The intensity should have been a warning sign. But Sarah, coming out of a period of loneliness and self-doubt, felt seen, valued, special. The shift happened gradually, like a frog in slowly boiling water. First, it was concern. "Are you really wearing that out?" Then isolation. "Your friends don't really get you like I do." Then control. "Why didn't you answer when I called? I was worried sick." By the time the first explosion of anger came, Marcus throwing a glass against the wall during an argument about her wanting to visit her parents, Sarah was already emotionally entangled. The explosion was followed by tears, apologies, and a vulnerability that made her heart ache. "I'm so sorry," he had sobbed, holding her. "My father used to scream at my mother like this. I swore I'd never be like him. Please don't leave me. I need you to help me be better." And there it was, the hook that would keep her trapped for years. Sarah became convinced that she was the only one who could save him, that leaving would mean abandoning someone who was broken and needed her. Her own needs, her own pain, became secondary to this mission of fixing someone who, deep down, she knew couldn't be fixed by her love alone. Now, sitting in her sister's apartment with a restraining order being processed and her entire life in 2 suitcases, Sarah was facing the real stakes: her sanity, her sense of self, possibly her life. The last incident had left her with bruises and a terrifying realization: it was only getting worse. But the hardest part wasn't the physical danger. It was battling against her own mind, which kept telling her to go back. "I don't understand," Sarah told Dr. Martinez during their 4th session, her voice breaking. "I know he's bad for me. I know what's happening is wrong. So why do I feel like I'm going through withdrawal? Why does every cell in my body scream at me to call him back?" Dr. Martinez leaned forward, her expression compassionate but firm. "Because you're not crazy, Sarah. You're experiencing a very real biochemical response. Let me explain what trauma bonding actually does to your brain." She pulled out a diagram of the brain and pointed to different areas. When Marcus is kind to you after being cruel, when he apologizes with intensity after hurting you, your brain releases a flood of dopamine and oxytocin. These are the same neurochemicals released during early romantic love, or even drug use. The unpredictability creates an addiction cycle. Sarah felt tears streaming down her face. So I'm literally addicted to someone who hurts me? Your brain has learned to associate him with survival. In the moments of terror and pain, your stress response system floods you with cortisol. Then, when he switches to being loving and apologetic, the relief creates a powerful neurochemical reward. It's not your fault. It's how the human nervous system responds to intermittent reinforcement combined with threat. This explanation was both devastating and liberating. For the first time, Sarah could separate herself from the shame. She wasn't weak. She wasn't stupid. She was trapped in a biological response pattern that had been crafted, whether intentionally or not, through cycles of abuse and reconciliation. But understanding it was only the first step. Here's what you need to know, Dr. Martinez continued. Breaking a trauma bond is going to feel like breaking a drug addiction because, neurologically, it is similar. You'll have to go through withdrawal. Your brain will try to convince you that you need him to survive. It will flood you with memories of the good times, make you doubt your own perceptions, tell you that you're overreacting. How do I fight that? Sarah whispered. You create new neural pathways. You build a support system. You learn to recognize when your trauma response is being triggered versus when you're thinking clearly. And most importantly, you go completely no contact. Every interaction resets the addiction clock. That night, Sarah blocked Marcus's number. She deleted all their photos together. She changed her email and her social media passwords. It felt like cutting off a limb. 2 weeks into no contact, Sarah was starting to feel clearer. The constant anxiety that had been her companion for years was beginning to ease. She was sleeping better. She had started painting again, something she'd given up. Because Marcus said it was a waste of time when you could be spending time with me. Then the flowers arrived at her office. 3 dozen red roses with a card. I'm getting help. Real help this time. I've started therapy. I joined a men's accountability group. Please just give me a chance to show you I'm changing. You always believed in me. Don't give up on us now. Sarah's co-worker, Monica, found her crying in the bathroom. You're not actually considering this, are you? Monica asked, her voice gentle but worried. He's getting help, Sarah said, hating how hopeful she sounded. What if he really is changing? What if I give up right before he turns it around? Monica took Sarah's hands. Listen to me. My sister went through this. 5 times her ex promised he was getting help. 5 times she went back. Do you know what it took for her to finally leave? He put her in the hospital. Don't let it get that far for you. But the flowers were just the beginning. Marcus showed up at her sister's apartment building. He sent letters through mutual friends. He posted long, emotional messages on social media about how depression and past trauma had made him act in ways he regretted, how he was a work in progress, who just needed patience and understanding from the woman he loved. People who didn't know the full story started reaching out to Sarah. He seems really sincere. Maybe you should give him another chance. Everyone deserves forgiveness. This is what Dr. Martinez had warned her about. The Hoover attempts. The vacuum that tries to suck you back in. Abusers get help when they lose supply, not before, her therapist explained. Real change takes years of sustained work, not 2 weeks. And true change is never contingent on getting the relationship back. If he's doing this work to win you back, he's not doing it for the right reasons. Sarah learned about a crucial pattern. Abusers often escalate their efforts when they feel they're losing control. The promises, the tears, the gestures, they weren't evidence of change. They were evidence of desperation to regain the power dynamic. The most difficult part was fighting against her own empathy. Sarah was a caring person. She had always been someone who believed in second chances, who saw the good in people. Marcus had used those beautiful qualities against her, and now she had to temporarily harden herself to survive. Empathy without boundaries is self-destruction, Dr. Martinez told her. You can have compassion for what made him this way without sacrificing yourself at the altar of his potential. Sarah wrote that quote on a sticky note and put it on her bathroom mirror. She read it every morning. 1 month into her liberation journey, Sarah faced an unexpected challenge. She didn't know who she was anymore. For 4 years, she had adapted herself to Marcus's needs, his moods, his preferences. She had learned to scan his face for micro-expressions of displeasure. She had developed an entire internal radar system designed to predict and prevent his outbursts. She had shrunk herself down to fit into the shape he wanted. Now, sitting in a coffee shop choosing what to order, she realized she didn't even know what kind of coffee she actually liked. She had always ordered Marcus' favorite because it was easier than triggering an argument about wasting money on expensive drinks. "Who am I without him?" she wrote in her journal. "Who was I before him?" She couldn't remember. Her sister, Elena, found her crying over a simple decision about whether to cut her hair. "He always said I looked better with long hair," Sarah explained through tears. "But I don't know if I actually like it long, or if I just learned to like what he liked." Elena sat down beside her. "Then maybe it's time to do some experiments. Try things. Make mistakes. Discover yourself again. You're not going to get all the answers at once, and that's okay." This phase was terrifying in a different way. Sarah realized that trauma bonding doesn't just bond you to another person. It bonds you to a version of yourself that exists only in relation to that person. The hypervigilant self. The people-pleasing self. The self that is always in survival mode. She started small. She bought a cookbook and tried recipes that Marcus had always criticized. She joined a pottery class. She went to a concert alone and danced without worrying about whether someone was watching and judging. Some days were harder than others. There were moments when the urge to contact Marcus was overwhelming, not because she missed the relationship, but because she missed the familiar script. In the chaos of abuse, there was at least certainty. Freedom felt unstable, unpredictable, scary. "This is grief," Dr. Martinez explained. "You're grieving the relationship you thought you had, the person you hoped he would become, and the version of yourself who believed she could save him. Grief isn't linear. Let yourself feel it." Sarah created a list of truths to read whenever she was tempted to go back. Love doesn't require you to constantly prove your loyalty. Healthy relationships don't leave you walking on eggshells. You can't heal in the same environment that broke you. Missing someone doesn't mean you should be with them. Temporary pain is better than permanent damage. 3 months after leaving, Sarah received news that shook her to her core. A mutual friend called to tell her that Marcus had started dating someone new, someone who looked eerily similar to Sarah, someone young, kind, and optimistic. The jealousy that hit her was primal and confusing. How could he move on so quickly? Didn't what they had mean anything? Was she that replaceable? Then came the darker thought. What if he's different with her? What if I was the problem all along? That night, Sarah stood on the edge of the most dangerous moment in her recovery. She could feel her resolve cracking. She composed a text message. "Can we talk?" Her finger hovered over the send button. Then she remembered something Dr. Martinez had said. When you want to contact him, make a rule. Wait 24 hours. Write down everything you're feeling instead. If you still want to reach out after that, we'll process it together in session. Sarah deleted the message and opened her journal instead. She wrote for 2 hours straight, and this is what came out. I'm not jealous that he's with someone else. I'm terrified for her, because I know exactly what's coming. The love bombing, the intensity, the gradual erosion of her boundaries, the first incident that she'll excuse, the pattern that will trap her. I'm jealous of the version of him she's seeing right now, the charming, attentive, perfect partner. But that's not the real him. It's the bait. And I know this because I was once her. I was the one being love-bombed while his ex was recovering from the trauma he'd caused. I probably thought she was bitter or crazy or couldn't let go. The truth is, he's not different with her. He's the same person at a different point in the cycle. And I can't save her any more than anyone could have saved me when I was in her position. She has to walk her own path. But I can save myself. I can choose right now to not go back to the fire just because I'm cold. I don't miss him. I miss the person I thought he was. I miss the relationship I thought we had. But those things never existed. They were a mirage, and I can't live in a mirage anymore. I choose me. I choose healing over habit. I choose uncertainty over abuse. I choose the hard work of rebuilding over the familiar pain of destruction. This is my line in the sand. I will not cross it. Sarah closed her journal, took out her phone, and did something she'd been avoiding. She called a support group for survivors of domestic abuse. She had been afraid of labeling what happened to her, afraid of claiming space in a community of people who had real trauma. "My name is Sarah," she said when it was her turn to speak, "and I'm recovering from a traumatically bonded relationship." The relief of saying it out loud, of claiming her truth, was overwhelming. She wasn't alone. She wasn't dramatic. She wasn't crazy. She was a survivor taking her power back one day at a time. 9 months after leaving Marcus, Sarah sat in the same coffee shop where this story began. But everything was different. She ordered a vanilla oat milk latte, something she'd discovered she actually loved. She was meeting a friend she'd reconnected with, someone Marcus had isolated her from years ago. Her hair was cut short, exactly how she wanted it. She wore a dress in a color that made her happy, not one chosen to avoid criticism. Most importantly, the constant anxiety that had been her companion for years was gone. She could breathe deeply again. She could make plans for her future without needing to calculate someone else's mood. She could say no without fear. She could say yes without guilt. Recovery wasn't linear. There were still hard days. Sometimes she'd see a couple laughing together and feel a pang of loneliness. Sometimes a song would trigger a memory and she'd have to sit with the complicated grief of missing something that hurt her. But she had learned crucial truths that she wants to share with you. The practical lessons. 1. Trauma bonding is not love. Love doesn't require fear to function. Love doesn't cycle between pain and relief. Love doesn't leave you doubting your sanity or worth. If you're constantly walking on eggshells, you're not in love. You're in survival mode. 2. You can't fix someone who doesn't think they're broken. Sarah wasted years trying to love Marcus into wellness. But healing is an inside job. Your love, no matter how pure or powerful, cannot repair someone who isn't doing their own internal work. 3. Going no contact is non-negotiable. Every interaction resets your healing. It's like trying to detox while still taking small doses of the poison. Block, delete, create distance. It will feel like dying at first, but it's actually what survival looks like. 4. The good times don't erase the bad times. Abusers aren't abusive 24/7. If they were, no one would stay. The intermittent reinforcement, the kindness mixed with cruelty, is what creates the addiction. Don't let the 20% good times make you ignore the 80% harmful times. 5. Trust the pattern, not the apology. People change through sustained, consistent action over long periods of time, not through dramatic promises in moments of loss. If he's making promises to get you back, he's not making promises to actually change. 6. Your empathy is not a weakness. The fact that you can love, forgive, and see the best in people is beautiful. But empathy without boundaries becomes self-destruction. You can have compassion for someone's pain while refusing to set yourself on fire to keep them warm. 7. Healing requires professional support. Therapy isn't a luxury when you're recovering from trauma bonding. It's a necessity. You need an objective voice to help you recognize when your trauma responses are being triggered and to build new neural pathways. Sarah wanted to end her story with a challenge for you. If this story resonated with you, if you saw yourself in these patterns, I want you to do something right now. Don't wait for the perfect moment. Don't wait until things get worse. Don't wait until you have all the answers. Get a piece of paper and write down 3 things. 1. One way your relationship makes you feel small or afraid. 1 dream or part of yourself you've given up to keep the peace. 3. One person you can reach out to for support. Therapist, hotline, friend, family member. Just writing these things down is an act of rebellion against the fog you've been living in. It's a small crack in the wall that lets light in. And if you're reading this, and you're not in an abusive relationship, but you know someone who is, here's your challenge. Stop telling them to just leave. Start educating yourself about trauma bonding. Be the safe place they can land when they're ready. Don't give up on them when they go back the 1st, 2nd, or 5th time. Understand that their brain has been hijacked, and judgment will only drive them deeper into isolation. Sarah ended her session at the support group with these words. For anyone still trapped, I want you to know. The person you're trying to save doesn't exist. Not because they're evil, but because the version of them you fell in love with was a mask. The real person is the one who hurts you. And the person who can be saved, the person who needs to be saved, is looking at you in the mirror right now. Save yourself. Choose yourself. Fight for yourself with the same fierce loyalty you've been giving to someone who doesn't deserve it. You are not a rehabilitation center for broken men. You are not a punching bag for someone else's unprocessed trauma. You are not a character in someone else's redemption arc. You are the protagonist of your own story. And this can be your turning point. The door is open. Walk through it. I promise you, there's a whole life waiting on the other side. A life where you don't have to earn your right to exist peacefully. That life is yours. Go claim it.